Happy Tuesday, everybody, and welcome to the post-game show. As Terry Ford is setting up, my name is Jalen Hart. Punching the buttons here on 107.5 The Game Network. Hope everyone is having a great Tuesday. Beautiful weather outside. A lot to get into, and as Terry Ford gets set up here.
Yeah, we're set up as good as we're going to be right now, but nice work.
Awesome.
Nice work. All right, yeah. You try to sneak in here, and people just start talking to you. Jeez, we got a show to do.
Yeah.
All right, real quick, before we get to the conversation of sports and all the things we yip and yap about on this show, our co-host, our bud, Jay Phillips, keep him in your thoughts today. He is getting his surgery for bladder cancer. I believe had it earlier this morning. And just, again, keep him in your thoughts as he moves forward with what we hope is successful surgery and then starting the road to recovery from the surgery and then the next step of trying to get himself back into a normal type life. So that was today. Again, we're all thinking about our buddy Jay Phillips, and if you can keep him in your thoughts, we would greatly appreciate that. All right, over the weekend, again, it's a mixed bag. The good, the women won, held the basketball game in Baton Rouge. And look, we can, and we will. We'll talk about the game. We'll break it down a bit, and we'll, talk about who, what, when, where, why, how, and all the other things that went on with that victory. But look, this is what you want to be as a sports program in general. When you reach the point where you have set a culture and set an expectation to where you go into a hostile environment against a talented basketball team that is gunning to beat you because they haven't in a long time. And they're all foaming from the mouth with excitement, the fan base. Everybody's going crazy. Everyone's lathered up. And it's one of those games that is just pretty much tight for 40 minutes. Mm-hmm. And at the very end, you find a way to make the plays to win. And the other team doesn't. 3 straight times, South Carolina executed and scored. And 3 times LSU didn't, and that was the difference in the basketball game.
And
it was a one-point game right to the end. Well, the free throws, South Carolina hitting their free throws. South Carolina doing some other things we'll get into in a minute. But just that's a culture win. That's a program win. Mm-hmm. That is a win where you have a bunch of players or a decent amount of players who have won national championships, who have been to Final Fours, who have won in Baton Rouge 2 years ago. They didn't blink. They were down 5 at one point in the game. They didn't blink.
They were down 8. Well, they were down 7 at one point in the game, and they didn't blink.
Never blinked. And that's what I'm saying. That's a culture win. That is what you cultivate and develop as a head coach and as players and assistants and whoever is involved in that program. That's a win that goes to the fundamental foundation of who you are. Mm-hmm. Now, does that mean South Carolina's going to the national championship? No, it doesn't mean that. But it means one thing. You're going to be pretty bleeping good to beat them before it's all said and done. Now, I'm not saying that, look, UConn got South Carolina twice last year, including the championship game, which is a bad matchup for the Gamecocks. We'll see where it goes this year if they meet up again. And so no one's sitting here saying that win over the weekend stamped the Gamecocks to cut down the nets. What I'm saying is, as this team has gotten itself together, has gone through a few rough patches, a close loss to Texas, an overtime loss to Oklahoma, some games where they probably haven't played the most crisp. Winning that game in Baton Rouge, and really everything they've done since they lost in Norman in overtime, has led to now the belief is, they will be a huge factor come March.
And mind you, they did not have Maddie McDaniel.
Nope.
They did not have Adele Tack.
Nope.
Joyce Edwards fouled out, and they had players that
we had Latson playing with 4 fouls.
Yeah, and Ocott. Mm-hmm. And they were able to win the game under all those circumstances.
And here's the other part too. It wasn't like, they shot the hell out of the three ball.
Yep.
I mean, Tessa and Raven, the Johnsons, were phenomenal.
The bucket
from
company,
three.
not
yeah.
the.
I mean, they were so good from three. South Carolina hit 47% of their threes, but at the rim, South Carolina hit under 50% of their shots at the rim, so they weren't like as crisp as they've been, and they still found a way to win. That's my point.
Mm-hmm.
It's easy when everything's going, man. Like that Vanderbilt game. Jeez. I mean, that's when everybody gets off the bench, everybody's scoring. Cocky went in there and had a triple-double. I mean, everybody's, smiling and happy because, I mean, you're curb stomping someone at home. Those are the easy ones. What do you do when you're playing on the road in a hostile environment against a crew that want nothing more than to be? Hell, Jalen, they might have cut down the nets if they'd have won on Valentine's Day. They would have been so excited at LSU to finally beat South Carolina. And so you sit there and you are in that environment playing that team, which is talented, by the way, with a coach that's won national championships in 2 different schools, and you're not your best at the rim. You're really not your best even from far two range, but you find a way. You just find a way. You're hitting threes, like you said, Jalen. You're hitting free throws. You're making life difficult for LSU on the offensive end of the court. You execute in money time at the end. You out-execute LSU, and you walk out of there with a very hard-fought 40-minute of nail-biting victory. That was impressive.
Very impressive. And the fact that they did that with Flau'jae Johnson playing at a very high level, that says a lot. Because when she's on like that, LSU can be really tough to beat, knowing that she can score in a multitude of different ways, and they're the number 1 rebounding efficiency team in the country.
Oh, yeah.
It showed.
They will kill you on the offensive glass if you let them. And, look, it wasn't easy in any way, shape, or form. At no point did South Carolina or LSU, for that matter, have any room to breathe for almost 2 hours. It was captivating because it was intense. It felt like an NCAA tournament Final Four game.
Yes.
And South Carolina, once again, to their credit, made the plays they had to make at the end to win the basketball game. And plus, too, I mean, there's other things that went on there. Tessa Johnson was so on fire in the first half. Kim Mulkey screaming at her bench, can anybody guard her? Somebody, anybody.
And one person, Bella Hines, raised her hand, and she did a really good job in the third quarter of face guarding her. But in that fourth quarter, the fans, the people watching the game, and the people that were at the game knew Tessa Johnson needed to show up in the fourth quarter, to where we've historically as fans have seen where Tessa Johnson has gone really hot in the first half and she gets cooled all the way down in the second half. That was not on display in the second half. She was able to deliver at key moments, but down the stretch, Medina Okot, I've been very vocal about Medina Okot having the resurgence of what she has had within the last month and a half. And that LSU game was the cherry on top of the confidence that I need in Medina Okot. I think down the stretch, she needed a game like that, and it showed. And I think teams are going to be really, really tough guarding her now going forward with the performance that she had. Her confidence is only going to go up from here.
Yeah, I mean, look, with Tessa, she was so on fire in the first half. I mean, if you watch it, it changed LSU's defensive philosophy. LSU started picking her up, full court, half court, three-quarter court. They didn't leave her to help others. Basically, by Tessa Johnson shooting the way she did in the first half, LSU was playing 4-on-4 with South Carolina.
Yeah.
They were like, we are not going to leave Tessa Johnson. We're not going to give her any space. We're not going to let her get the ball. We are going to take her out of the game. And Tessa would and they got to the point again, this is, my guess is Dawn Staley's strategy, was like at some point Tessa's standing over in the corner. I mean, taking her defender totally out of the play, where now South Carolina's got more space to play offense 4-on-4. I mean, that's the ultimate compliment. If you ever play basketball, the ultimate compliment is when you're cooking so much that no one leaves you to help because they can't leave you alone. That's one of the ultimate compliments. The others are they double team you. But when they have to alter their defense to stop you in whatever way, shape, or form, and now the rest of the team gets easier or more open looks or more space to operate, that's the effect Tessa Johnson had on that basketball game. It was fantastic. And it opened the way more for Joyce Edwards and for Okot and for Raven And even Latson had a big bucket at the end of near the end of that game. Because again, the one thing Latson brings you, even on nights like or days, really it was a night, nights like Saturday when she's not as efficient as she typically is, she can still get you a bucket.
Yes.
She can still win the one-on-one battle and go to the rack and score. And that's the gold of her, and that will be the gold of her when you get into March. There will be times you need a basket. And she will say, I kind of led the nation in scoring. Why don't you let me go do this? And they will figure out, they'll run something for her, or she'll get the ball late in a shot clock situation, and she'll just beat somebody.
Or she could figure out a way to get to the line. Because
she gets to the line a lot.
She gets very downhill and is very aggressive to where the ref has to make a decision whether to call something or not.
Absolutely. And she's gotten to the line a lot in games.
Yes.
So she is... Even in games like Saturday, where she's not scoring 20 or 17 or 15, she's still, when South Carolina really needed a bucket, she got them a bucket. So, it was that's a kind of win for me personally. Those kind of wins impress me. Look, it's fun when you when you curb stomp somebody, beat the snot out of them by 20 or 25. That's great. But when you get into the NCAA tournament and this thing gets for real, you're going to have to win a game like South Carolina won on Saturday night.
And now they got to go on the road again and play Alabama. And historically, like I said last week, Alabama could be a trap game. Again, it could feel like an Oklahoma-esque type of feel to it. But I trust Don of what we saw against LSU on the road. I think they're going to do the exact same thing to where this time the game is not going to be close. I just think Carolina's more physical. You have Joyce Edwards, who is going to try to bounce back from the performance that she had against LSU. And we want to see Tessa Johnson keep it going because it has to be a consistent matter now that this is in a critical part of the season where you're seeing a superstar in the making in Tessa Johnson for this team once Raven Johnson leaves for the draft at the end of the season.
Well, you look at Alabama. They've lost 3 out of their last 4. One of they just lost to Oklahoma at home. 79-71. They're about 500 in the league, where you have 6-6. They're kind of leaking oil a little bit now after a really nice start to the season. Where they didn't. Their first loss, by the way, was South Carolina earlier in the year. That 83-57 boat race.
Yep.
So now you get them in Tuscaloosa. They just lost at home. Again, one of those. Remember, Oklahoma was desperate. Alabama's desperate. Are they in the NCAA tournament? Yes, but still they're desperate for a win. They've lost 3 out of 4. They just lost at home. They are going to set. You're going to walk in there for South Carolina. Smell that? It smells like Oklahoma.
It smells like blood in the water.
It smells like Norman again.
Yeah.
A desperate team looking for a win. You fell into that trap and lost at Oklahoma. You should learn from that and not fall into the same trap against Alabama.
Agreed.
Especially as well as you've been playing. But again, that is a game where you're facing a desperate team at home who is scuffling. All right, so thumbs up. We'll hear from Dawn through the show as well. We will now spin and look at, the rest of the weekend, which really wasn't that great for the men's basketball. Baseball wins 2 out of 3. We'll get into that next year on the postgame show. Terry, Jalen with us. We go to 3 on the game. All right, South Carolina, the men. Another tough day for the Gamecocks. Before we get to that, though, tonight, South Carolina traveling to Florida to take on the Gators. 6:30 pregame, 7 o'clock tip here on 107.5 The Game in Columbia and our sister station, or our affiliate, rather, 100.3 The Game in Myrtle Beach. And baseball, 5:15 this afternoon on our sister station, 98.5 WOMG, South Carolina, going at it, I believe, against Wofford. So you can hear that. And we're going to Brad Muller give us a holler here at 3:30. We're going to talk some women's basketball. Brad is doing the baseball game tonight because Derek Scott's doing the basketball game in Gainesville. So that's kind of where we're at with everything. You confused? Good. That's our goal. That's our goal. The men traveling to Tuscaloosa over the weekend, losing to Alabama. And it's just kind of the same of everything we've seen in some ways. I mean, offensively, a little bit better than we've seen. Defensively, maybe a little bit better than we've seen. And they still gave up 89 to a Bama team that plays really, really fast. Like we said, against Alabama, they're going to play fast. You can't get sucked up into a high, up-tempo game. South Carolina sort of did. But down by 13 at the half. Played Alabama pretty tough in the second half, but again, you never really put that big dent into the lead that you needed to. And the Crimson Tide got the win. Like I said, 89-75 for South Carolina. Michi went off in the second half, and we'll hear from Lamont Paris about Michi here in just a little bit. But first of all, here's Lamont Paris, cut 15, Jalen, that South Carolina did enough to give themselves a chance to win.
We did enough good things tonight to where in the second half, it was 7, I think. We get a nice look at a 3, and that doesn't go down, and that's not the game, but you know, it's one of those things that after trailing like we did and then making a move, that's the kind of thing that makes a team that's led the whole game potentially feel a certain way about what's happening in the game. And so we missed that one. We had a couple more opportunities, I think, while it was still there at 7, and then just down the stretch didn't make some plays. They made a couple. We pressed, and at some point had to try to get some extra possessions, and they made a couple of threes. But I thought our window of opportunity was right there in the second half at that point to really turn the tide. We had made a run, and then unfortunately we weren't able to do it at that time.
I mean, the league got cut under double digits to, like Lamont said, about 7. But again, Alabama made some plays. South Carolina couldn't make plays. And you end up getting beat again, 89-75. Gamecocks now 2-10 in the SEC, 11-14 overall. Bama, who has been very hit or miss from 3 all year, was a lot of hit. 41% from 3. Tide hit 14 threes in the game. South Carolina took 28 threes. They only hit 7, shooting 25%. So 7 more made threes in a game where both teams were chucking threes. And in that situation, South Carolina only going 7 of 28, which is 25% from 3. So you make 7 more, that's 21 points. You lose by 14. You kind of see one of the reasons why you lost. You got out-threed. But again, Alabama plays fast. They shoot threes. They go to the basket. They get to the free throw line. That's what they do. And at the end of the day, you know, the Tide, 27 free throws to 18 for Carolina. 34 threes taken by Alabama, 28 South Carolina. 14 made threes for the Tide, 7 for South Carolina. But the Gamecocks did shoot well at the free throw line, hitting 89% of their free throws, while Alabama went 19 of 27 from the line. So, again, Alabama gets to the line. They shoot a lot of threes. Rebounding, Bama won the backboards. Tide also doubled South Carolina in offensive rebounds. Again, it's one of those things where you just watch that game and you're like, well, Alabama's just better. That's the way it goes. Alabama's just better. You know, we can if all day long. You know, if you took away all of Alabama's points, you'd win 75-0.
And that might not ever happen in a game.
Take away all their points and you pitched a shutout.
They cheated and had the illegal player on the... Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's not happening.
So, again, South Carolina on the losing end. Strange stat of the game, Eli Ellis played 27 minutes and scored as many points as Jalen and I. And Ellis only took one shot.
Wow.
Had a rebound, an assist, a couple turnovers. So basically in 27 minutes of basketball, Eli Ellis almost has a clean stat sheet, which is just bizarre. Also out of the youngins, Grant Polk missed 3 threes. He's been in a real three-point shooting slump. E.J. Walker didn't score either. So not a whole lot off the South Carolina bench, 7 points.
And Starjans was 6 of 13 from the field, so it was just inefficient for the starters to get going. I mean, Knox and Michi Johnson were the only 2 players that kind of kept them in the game within that first half. You know, the transition in the first opening, 8 minutes where it was 19-19. I'm thinking, I'm like, okay, Carolina may have a shot. And then here comes the collapse of, one act is leaving and then the bigger act is coming up. And it's like, okay, Alabama's going to show you, there's a reason why they're ranked now in the top 25. But good effort, but it's not enough. It just was not enough for them to get them over the hump to break that losing streak.
All right, so South Carolina falls, like I said, to 2-10 in the SEC. The Tide win. They're now 8-4 in league play. Michi went nuts in the second half, 26 points with 8 of 17 shooting. Real quick, Jalen, before we hit the break, here's Lamont Paris talking about Michi. That's cut 16.
I don't know. He played better. He was more aggressive. I mean, I don't think there's any doubt that he was more aggressive. He was, he had what I thought was an open look in the first half, and then he hesitated on it, and then he shot that one, which we always talk about. That's probably one of the worst shots because that one, the percentages go way down if you don't do it when you're in rhythm and, you're doing it because you passed up an opportunity. But so, yeah, he was more aggressive in the second half. When you get behind, also the game ends up turning into more ball screen and driving in the second half. A lot of games end up turning into that. They're playing to try to protect the lead, so there's other things that they're trying to make sure they take away, and that leads to some opportunities driving the ball to the basket. But he was certainly much more aggressive in the second half than he was in the first half, and that was not by design on our part. He was more aggressive.
Yeah, look, sometimes you're not as aggressive. You're not taking what defense could give you, or you're not forcing your will upon a defense, putting them at stress. Second half, Michi started putting them at stress. Played much better. Ended up being 8 of 17 from the floor, 3 of 8 from 3, 7 of 8 from the line, 4 assists, 3 rebounds, also 3 turnovers. But Michi, ended up having a really nice second half, but South Carolina still loses to Alabama 89-75. All right, we'll pop in here, talk to our bud Brad Muller, talk about what the women did over the weekend. Also, Brad on the call for baseball this afternoon as South Carolina goes at it, I do believe, with Wofford.
Yes.
That'll be 5:15 pregame on our sister station, 98.5 WOMG. All right, we'll pop back, talk to Brad next here on the postgame show. Jalen's here, so is Terry. We go till 6 here on the Game and the Game Network.
Yeah, I mean, we put the ball in Raven Johnson's hands to make a play. We put it in a couple of people's hands, and we got good looks. But when it was down to that last possession, Raven, it was usually going to play make for herself or play make for her teammate. And fortunately, Medina snuck behind the defense to give her a little layup. I thought she took her time because by the time she caught it and made a move, there was a crowd there. So she took her time and put it off that white square and went in.
That's Dawn Staley talking about the execution, those last few possessions that were huge in South Carolina, 79-72 win over LSU in Baton Rouge. Part of that romantic evening in Baton Rouge, our buddy Brad Muller on the call for the Gamecocks. Doing baseball today, 5:15 pregame on our sister station, 98.5 WOMG. How many baseball games have you done, Brad Muller?
Actually, I did baseball for 13 years at another school before I got up here, so I did a lot. And then did some fill-in work when I first got the women's basketball gig here, and then kind of gave it up for a little while because I got busy with softball and women's basketball doing their thing. And we had some other young talented announcers here that wanted to do it, such as Kate Crenshaw. So I hadn't had to do it in about 3 years, but everybody else had something on their schedule tonight. So here I am. Stuart Lake has been, had a different play-by-play guy for all 4 games so far.
That's hilarious. Hopefully he doesn't call you Derek somewhere during the game.
Hey, that's okay. I feel like he's going to be handing out roses to whoever wants to keep in the press box or something.
All right, so let's go over this. You have done women's basketball, you've done baseball, you've done softball, you did soccer a couple years ago, or still do soccer, correct, or not?
Yeah, I still do women's soccer. Yep. Mm-hmm.
All right, let's see what else. Highlight? How about highlight? You do highlight?
No, but I used to go to Highline when I lived in Connecticut. We were one of the 2 states that had it. When I was in high school, my buddies and I would sneak in there and have a good time at the Fronton. It was fun.
I tell you, I went to the Orioles used to have spring training in Fort Lauderdale, and we would go down and do the show during the first week of spring training, and we would go see Highline every now and then. I know what the hell they were doing, Brad, but it was fun.
Yeah, it was a great time. Yeah.
So what else do you do play-by-play? You do everything. What haven't you done? Forget Highline.
I haven't done volleyball, but that's okay. I'm at the point in my at my age now where I want to do less, so I'm not looking. I'm happy for young aspiring broadcasters to get as much experience as they can.
All right, so you're not jonesing for some volleyball at this point.
No, not right now. I'm good.
Right.
I'm good.
All right. So we figured you haven't done volleyball and highlight, and that's it. Good deal, Brad Muller.
I've done football as well. Okay.
Jeez. Man. All right, really quick, and then we'll move on to this. What's the toughest sport to do play-by-play in your mind that you've done?
I think football, because of the amount of preparation you have to do, because there's so many players involved. I think the preparation is the hardest for football. The game itself isn't as hard. I think the hardest thing was when I did baseball games by myself. That was the hardest thing, because baseball, you got to have somebody to talk to.
Absolutely. You start talking to yourself. What do you think, Brad? Well, Brad, let me tell you, Brad, that was pretty astute. Thank you, Brad.
Hey, don't lie. That's how it went.
Brad Muller on the call tonight. Gamecock baseball against Wofford, 5:15 pregame on our sister station, 98.5 WOMG, with Stuart Lake as well. All right, so let's look back on Saturday. That was a hell of a game, Brad. That's just
it was a great time.
Man, I mean, it was intense. It was pretty much close throughout. I mean, you got a 1-point game. When money time starts late in the fourth quarter, South Carolina not perfect, but executed perfectly at the end when they needed to.
Yep.
I said this earlier, and you feel free. We've known each other long enough. You can disagree with me. Hell, everybody else does. I felt that was just like a culture type of win. A championship programs win those type of games. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, it does. I think some of the folks that helped you win it, was, I don't want to say a surprise, but it was nice to see. I mean, when you have games like that, you expect players like Raven Johnson, who've been in the program 5 years, Tessa Johnson, who's a third-year player, to come up big, and they both did on a lot of occasions that night. But to me, one of the things that really stood out, throughout the game, Medina Okot was doing a great job under the boards. I think she had 17 rebounds against, LSU, which is the best rebounding team in the SEC, and she had 17 boards, which was tremendous. But she made, to me, two of the biggest plays down the stretch. Carolina was up just one, and then she got the ball off for an offensive rebound, split a couple of defenders, and finished, in traffic tough where, sometimes she's prone to move her feet. And she made a great play without traveling between two defenders to put us up 3. And then next possession after LSU miss, she comes down, gets fouled, and hits 2 free throws. And she's an okay free throw shooter, but she's not, she's not the one you probably wanted shooting them out of all the 5 out there. And she goes and hits both of them to put us up 5. That really seals it. So I was really happy for her that she had 2 really huge moments in addition to all the rebounds that really secured the win. And then you go back and you had the freshman Adat McKeer at one point had a big 3-pointer in the fourth quarter as well. So it was neat to see someone other than the veterans who had been there before make big plays for you in crunch time. And that's what really stood out to me.
Brad Muller hanging out with us again. One to call our sister station, 98.5 WOMG, 5:15 coverage starts. Carolina baseball versus Wofford. Brad and Stuart Lake will be rolling that out later this afternoon. Brad, it's been an interesting year. You and I and Jay have talked a few times during the season, and again, the starting 5 is really good. Arguably one of the best starting 5s in America when healthy. The bench is young, but they're not as young. They're a little bit more battle tested now.
Yeah.
Is it as simple to say, since that loss at Oklahoma in overtime, when we were discussing it, and like a lot of the players on the bench look at each other going, well, we're actually losing this game? Really? Since that game, it feels like, is it simple to say that game kind of got their attention as a program?
Yeah, I think so. I think it was a wake-up call. And, again, not to take anything away from Oklahoma. Oklahoma's a top 15. They've been that way all year. They're really good, and they're a tough matchup, with the size that they have. But, Carolina did not play well in that game, and it was a lot of self-inflicted stuff. And, obviously you don't want to feel that way again. So it was an eye-opener that, hey, you know what, the league is better than it's ever been. And I say that truthfully. I've been covering South Carolina women's basketball for the last 19 years, and this is the best the league has been in terms of top-to-bottom number of teams that are good enough to beat you. From any week, there's 9 or 10 teams ranked in the top 25. And so there's no gimmies, and I know that sounds cliche, but it's really true this year. I think that was a lesson for them. And a silver lining is as rough as it's been this year with all the injuries they've had. I think I want to say they've only had 6 games out of their 27 games all this year where they started and finished with a complete roster. Is that the silver lining from that is all these other bench players and young players have had to play a lot more at times, and they've grown up a lot. In previous years, the bench was the key to South Carolina's success because their second 5 was as good as their starting 5 almost. And, at the beginning of this year, I don't think you could say that because of how young this team was. Now I think there's a lot more confidence when you're plugging kids in from the bench that they're going to not just hold serve, but they're going to contribute. And I think you're seeing that, and that's good to see.
All right, Brad Muller. During seasons, again, man, you've been, doing the Gamecock women's play-by-play in the basketball games for more than a minute now. Usually during a year, especially when you get a team like this type of program where they're in the mix every year and they've won their share of national championships, it feels like they've been to like every Final Four for the last 30 years. During the year, as you a guy doing every game, at some point you'll walk away going, okay, they're locked in. Okay, yeah, I think, now they're ready to make a run. Now I feel like they're on the right path to where they can be in the Final Four. Was that win over LSU and Baton Rouge one of those where you go, okay, all right, this starting to smell familiar to me?
They've had a few games like that this year where you can tell they were locked in. They've overcome some things and, played well in hostile environments. Like, you look at the blowouts at home where we blew out Tennessee and Vanderbilt, and I think both of those were unexpected in terms of blowouts. And then you go on the road and win in a crunch time game against a very, very good LSU team. It affirms what you already know, that this team is really good and what they're capable of when they play that way. That, when they play that way, they can beat anybody in the country. every once in a while, they have a slip up, or not everyone's locked in. And that can still happen because you don't. Whenever you're peaking, you don't peak forever. Eventually you have one of those games where minds are elsewhere. The ball rolls out. Something. The focus isn't there. But what was comforting to me was in a big road environment like that, seeing what they could do, even when it felt like I'm not afraid to say, even when it felt like it was 8-on-5 at times with some of the things that were called or were not called in the first half. I think LSU did not have a foul called in the first quarter, nor the first 3 minutes of the second quarter. So you go 13 minutes without a foul being called on the other team. You're wondering what's going on. They overcame a lot. The win at LSU again affirms what they are capable of, and then it's just a matter of like you said, locking in and doing that every night. And time will tell if they can do that. I hope they can. Hopefully there's no letdown when they go to Alabama. Alabama's a top 25 team that we play on Thursday, and then you got Ole Miss, who's a top 15 team as well, or top 20 team here on Sunday. So you're not done yet.
That's right.
Your last 4 games of the regular season, you're playing 3 top 20 teams, and 2 of them are on the road.
All right, baseball tonight. You and Stewart, you ready to roll? You set? You prepped?
I am. I'm excited. Hopefully they'll win, so they'll let me back in the press box sometime. Because if you lose when you're the fill-in guy, they're not going to call you back.
Everybody starts staring at you uncomfortably. Man, hey, we appreciate you, Brad Muller. Have some fun tonight with Stewart, okay, bud?
I'm looking forward to it. Thanks so much, guys.
All right, we'll see you, pal. All right, we'll get back in here. Time to open the vault and see what's been going on today in sports, maybe a little entertainment, music, history, whatever we can get to. That's next here on the post-game show. Jalen's punching the buttons. Terry Ford. We go till 6 on the Game and the Game Network. All right, time to hit the vault. All right, we'll start off with today in sports history.
What do we got?
Today is not. It's okay. We've had better days. Today in 1968, the Basketball Hall of Fame opened in Springfield, Massachusetts. I've been there. It's pretty cool. Now, do I think it's? And look, I love basketball.
I got one.
But I also the Baseball Hall of Fame and the Pro Football Hall of Fame are better. But it's fun. Don't get me wrong. It's enjoyable, the Basketball Hall of Fame. But I just think the other two, a little bit better. That's just me. That's me. This day in 1994, this might be the best. I shouldn't say the best, but this is a very interesting historical nugget on this day, 1994. San Antonio Spur David Robinson records the fourth quadruple double in NBA history. 34 points, 10 boards, 10 assists, and 10 blocks as the Spurs beat the Pistons. 1998, the U.S. women's hockey team wins the sport's first gold medal as the U.S. beat Canada 3-1. Every year it's U.S.-Canada in the gold medal game. They got that coming up again. What's it later this week? Was it Thursday? I think the U.S. and Canada play for the gold. The U.S. is a big-time favorite.
Yep.
The U.S., was it 30 goals to 1?
Yeah.
They've outscored their opponents in this. That's just sickening. That's like they have 3 goalies. I mean, it's crazy. On this day in 2010, Lindsey Vonn and Julia Mancuso finished 1-2 in the downhill at the Vancouver Olympics. First time since 1984, the U.S. has won gold and silver in the singular women's alpine event. 2013, we forget she drove a car. Danica Patrick wins the Daytona 500 pole, becoming the first woman to secure the top spot at any Sprint Cup race. She could drive a car. I know she didn't get respect from some folks in the racing industry, but she could drive a car. Also, on this day, 2020, 62nd Daytona 500, Denny Hamlin wins his second straight title, beating Ryan Blaney on the second restart in overtime. This day in music history, throw you a quick music history nugget.
Go ahead.
All right. On this day in 1996, people do silly stuff. Like, I remember, like, Justin Timberlake bit into, like, a sandwich or a burger or a cookie, and somebody auctioned it off because it was his, like, saliva, which is creepy.
Ew.
This day in 1996, this isn't as creepy as that, but still, a platinum American Express card once belonging to Bruce Springsteen was sold for $4,500 at a New York memorabilia sale. It was an expired card. He had given an expired card to a waiter at an LA restaurant by mistake and let the guy keep it as a souvenir. See, that's the difference between when you're famous and you're not famous. If Terry Ford gives an expired credit card to the waiter, he's not all giggly and smiling. Hey, man, can I keep it as a souvenir? Hey, he's calling the cops.
Right.
Right?
Because where's your money at?
Exactly. Where's the money there, loser?
I got one.
What you got?
The 2019 NBA All-Star Game in Charlotte. Guess who's the MVP?
Don't care. No, who?
Kevin Durant.
Kevin Durant. By the way, as a sidebar, and we'll talk more later, I didn't watch a minute of the new NBA All-Star Game format, but I have been told.
It was good.
All-Star stuff just does not appeal to me anymore. I have not been one of those haters for the NBA All-Star Game. Look, to me, the NBA All-Star Game should be sizzle and glitz and glamour. And if you guys want to take it seriously and play ball, that's fine. If you just want to throw alley-oops off the backboard and do 720 dunks and shoot 50-footers, that's okay with me, too. It's a bleeping exhibition, Jalen.
Yeah, I know.
It's not a real game. I hear this thing was really competitive.
Yes, it was. But I will say this. The dunk contest was still the dunk contest. It was bad. It was so bad
needs to go away.
that
I hate to say it.
one dunker got a concussion in the middle of the competition.
No, I didn't hear this.
Yes.
He hit his head on the rim?
No, he missed the dunk, and he came all the way down and hit his head on the hardwood and was done.
Now,
he was knocked out.
I got a question. Was that the highest rated dunk?
No, because he got a 0.
Got a concussion. I'm giving him a 10.
So,
Give
okay,
him a 10.
but I will say this, Terry. The theme of the All-Star Weekend was Damian Lillard coming back.
Yeah.
He came back and beat Devin Booker, where everyone was thinking Devin Booker was going to win when he had 3 attempts to throw on him.
And missed all 3 at the end.
Missed all 3. I
Yep.
was just like, oh, my God.
I heard that Booker had a chance to win, and he kind of went at the end.
So now it's word that we're going to get Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Devin Booker, and Damian Lillard in the three-point contest next year.
I think that'd be cool.
That would
I
be
got no
amazing.
problem with that at all. I'm in.
I'm in, too.
Get Larry Bird, too. What the heck? You want a bunch of those things. Why
he's
not?
tied Larry Bird with 3. Now
Yeah.
he has to get history to go up against Klay and Steph. Oh, my Lord.
That'd be fun. Well, I'm glad it was better this year.
Yes.
I didn't watch a second of it. The slam dunk, it is so sad to me what's happened to the slam dunk contest. It's so pathetic. It is. It's just sad, sad, sad. All right, 4 o'clock hour, we'll get back to some talk about Carolina football in the 4 o'clock hour here on the postgame show. All right, post-game show. Going to hear from Greg McElroy about the South Carolina Gamecocks here in just a minute. Of course, McElroy doing a lot of college football work as a podcast, very busy man, ESPN, other outlets. McElroy recently gave some thoughts about South Carolina football for the upcoming season. First, though, if you look at our cool YouTube channel, you'll say, Terry, what the hell is that next to you? It's a Gamecock. This is the guy that sits in my office, typically, up on a shelf. And we're sitting there today, and we're kind of just like joking, because if you look down this morning, we had a shot on the YouTube channel with an empty chair. And it had stuff sitting in it. It's just, like, what can we do to make this look better? And we started joking, let's put the Gamecock down there.
Now, I thought, coming in, I thought it was really Sir Big Spur, like the live Gamecock at Willie B.
Dude, I'm not having no live Gamecock in a room with me. No offense. I lose that battle, brother. I lose that battle large.
I think we should. You know what? I feel like we should do that. We should bring Sir Big Spur in on a segment and just have him.
I remember. Was it the first year Tyler was here? Gamecock Central had their kickoff party for the season. And it was over Steel Hands. And they had Sir Big Spur there, I believe. And they put Sir Big Spur on Tyler's arm.
Oh, God.
And Tyler was like, I'm not going to lie to you. I was scared out of my mind. Because I was quite uncomfortable. That bird staring, that's a big bird,
that's
man.
That's a big bird.
Uh-huh. And so Tyler was like, I was quite uncomfortable. So no, I'm not putting a live Gamecock in a room with me. What are you, insane?
No.
I will put my fake stuffed Gamecock in here with me, and we're just going.
I'll take that over Sir Big Spur. No disrespect to Sir Big Spur, but I will take a.
That one's talons is not going to claw my eye out.
Yeah,
just say it.
Because if we ask the bird to speak, we're not going to hear anything.
No. So I think though now I think that's better than filling a chair with a backpack. having the stuffed Gamecock for my office.
I feel you.
And by the way, in my office, that Gamecock rules. Nobody touches that Gamecock in the office. That is the best thing in my office, by the way. This stuffed Gamecock is the best thing in my office. Well, you've been in my office, you know. It's right up there on the shelf. Mm-hmm. It's my bud. Love him. Anyway, all right. So if you look at the YouTube channel going, what in God's name is that, Terry? It's the Gamecock out of my office, who is co-hosting the show today, along with Jalen and myself. All right. So South Carolina football, Greg McElroy speaking about the Gamecocks in the upcoming 2026 season. That will be cut 22, my man. Hit it.
Team number 10, the South Carolina Gamecocks. Now, South Carolina is a sleeper because they have the single most important ingredient for an incredible run, and that's a returning high-ceiling quarterback. Lenore Sellers is back for 2026, and some of the changes within the coaching staff have me feeling pretty optimistic about what Lenore Sellers might be able to do this year. South Carolina goes out. They hire Kendall Briles as their offensive coordinator and quarterback coach. That's an identity move because Briles' offense, it's kind of designed to put a lot of stress on defenders by utilizing tempo and spacing and conflict plays and putting linebackers and safeties into pick your poison situations. Now look at the schedule. The schedule includes some early home games against Kent State and Towson, and then it gets real. It gets real fast. At Alabama, Kentucky, at Florida, Tennessee, at Oklahoma, A&M, Georgia, Clemson. These are beasts. Yeah, that's a monster. It's a really hard schedule. But here's why they're still a sleeper. And that in the expanded playoff, South Carolina doesn't have to go unbeaten. They have to show that they can beat great teams and be dangerous late. And we saw this from South Carolina a couple years ago. How many close games did they win a few years ago? A bunch, right? They knew how to win close games. Last year, they had a bunch of teams on the ropes. They had Alabama on the ropes. They had Texas A&M on the ropes, and they couldn't quite finish. Well, now, if they can unlock Lenora Sellers' potential with the hire of Kendall Briles, that could be significant. Because if the offense becomes more consistent, South Carolina is the kind of team that can upset anyone. And in a playoff bracket, the can upset anyone type of team is not a very fun draw.
All right, so I think it's interesting. I see where Greg McElroy's going with you've got a returning quarterback with a high ceiling, and you brought in an offensive coordinator who you hope actually knows what they're doing because they have a track record of showing they know what they're doing, especially with a dual-threat quarterback because Kendall Browse was the OC, obviously, at Arkansas when they had K.J. Jefferson, Rocket Sanders, and
company.
They had weapons.
Yep.
They had weapons, and that offense was explosive, and Kendall Browse was the OC. So there's a track record of unleashing the dual-threat quarterback. And with they have like 700 offensive linemen that have come in. You know, Jacarius Peak leading the way. He should be the starting left tackle. It feels like you have added bodies to your issues, whether it's the offensive coordinator, the offensive line. Defensively, did you lose? You lost some stuff in the secondary? Absolutely. But you have your entire linebacker crew back. You got Dylan Stewart. You hope you've added some pieces that can help Stewart with the pass rush through the portal.
Mm-hmm.
So you go, okay, if some things can work, if a couple things go the right way, and if Kendall Browse can truly unlock Lenore Sellers and take him even past what he was 2 years ago, then you might have something. Now, again, the schedule's a bear on paper. It is every year. Every year it is. So I see where Greg McElroy is going with the whole thing. I do. I understand the idea. Okay, if you're looking for a team that might be where'd they come from to get where they're at this year? It could be South Carolina. Absolutely. I see the scenario. But obviously we need to see it happen.
And I think, that is a good, take on Carolina being a sleeper. But me personally, I got to see it to believe it. I can't really judge Carolina right now because, yes, they did really, really well in the offseason.
Mm-hmm.
But can you put it together in a game-like situation? Week 1, yes, you're playing Kent State and Towson. But once week 3 gets here, we really get to see and judge how Carolina is going to do as the season progresses. So I personally can't wait to see all of this being put together on the field.
Here's the good news. In the years that no one's expected anything from South Carolina under Shane Beamer, they've had good seasons.
Mm-hmm.
No one's expecting anything this year. I mean, Greg McElroy is looking for sleepers, teams that might surprise and shock, and he had South Carolina on the list there at 10. Not many people are going to be looking at South Carolina as, a sleeper or a team that's going to turn it around. They're going to get picked low in the SEC by the media and the coaches. So there's not going to be any expectation or very little. And in Shane Beamer's history here, if you've seen it, first took the gig, nobody expected anything, went 7-6 with a bowl game win and got mayonnaise dumped on his head. Year 2, okay, that's cute, but no one's taking you seriously to beat 2 top 10 teams who were trying to compete for the college football playoff and end up with 8 wins.
Mm-hmm.
But then there was expectation. In year 3, Spencer Rattler was coming back, your receivers were coming back, blah, 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 blah. And you went, pfft. So no one expected anything from you in 2024, and you almost made the college football playoff. Then there was expectation in 2025, and you even had a bigger pfft. So now there's no expectation in 2026. So you might see a bounce-back year where this team could give you some fun stuff to watch.
And I think defensively, like you said, they added some good pieces. Quashid Scott from Kentucky.
I really like Sheed Scott.
I like his game.
I like Sheed Scott a lot.
And he's from, South Carolina, Marion, South Carolina, as a standout. But I think that is going to be it's going to be a really good void for him to develop into a very interesting and good NFL prospect, hopefully comes next year's draft. And then the defensive line got better. They got Jordan Thomas from Georgia, Drew Collins from Arkansas State, Caleb Herring from Tennessee.
Well, that's a guy I like.
Yes.
I'm hoping he's going to unleash hell off the edge.
Yes.
And if you're going to be doubling and tripling and chipping Dylan Stewart, Herring's going to make you pay on the other side.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we're hoping for.
Yes.
I do. I think Sheed Scott, you just saw what Brandon Cisse did. Brandon Cisse came in 1 year from NC State out and through the portal. And with the season he had, not only did he do a nice job against the pass, but he was their best run defender, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
And Cisse, a lot of mocks look at him getting picked in the first round, roughly between like 18 and 30. So maybe Scott goes, hey, maybe I can go do that too. So this team has pieces. I mean, obviously, you got to get the offense right.
I'm interested in what the running game would look like with what's been going on or how thin they were. Beamer said in the press conference a couple of weeks ago that missing out on running backs the past 2 seasons was not a good sign for the program. And for you to get a running back in Sam Dixon from Ohio State, and I'm trying to find the other one real quick from Penn State.
You got the Penn State kid and the Texas kid.
Yes.
So
they got some depth there.
And plus you add to Fuller and Howell, who I thought had moments, especially Howell. I mean, Fuller had the big run against LSU. You got a couple other guys on that roster that are interesting. So, yeah, the running back room now it's got some possibilities. Let's put it that way.
I can take that.
And if the offensive line can do their job, we'll see if any of these running backs can step forward and be really productive. So it is going to be very interesting to watch how the team plays out, where there is no expectation, but there is something. There's this thing called a hot seat.
Yes.
And I think we all understand that Shane Beamer, whether we love him or not, and here we like him, he's good to us, he's great to us. Shane Beamer's on a hot seat in 2026.
Is it?
You can't have another 4 or 5 win year, you're gone. You just are. I mean, you've invested a lot of money into the portal, into the football program. You have had 2 losing seasons out of the last 3. You can't pull another 4 or 5 win season. I just don't think you can. I think if you do that, then I believe that they will move on from you. As much as I like him, I think that's what would happen.
Do you think having a winning season and not making the playoff will get him out of the hot seat?
Yeah, I think that's fine. If they win 7 games, and I think they can, again, the big if is the offense. If they win 7 games, he's back. They just can't have another losing record.
Gotcha.
If you win 7 games, you're fine if you're Shane Beamer. And again, I think they've put together a good roster, how you can make it mesh. Can Kendall Browse unleash all of the physical wonderment that is Lenore Sellers? But the most important thing is, can you actually take an offensive line with all these folks and find 5 dudes who can play like one?
And I think we're going to get it. I personally think from what we saw with Dow Loggins, nobody knew who he was. But the minute that we saw the surge in Lenore Sellers' confidence grow each and every game, the season that Dow Loggins was there, it has paid dividends. We didn't really see that with his name.
Shula.
Yes.
It's okay. He slipped a lot of people's minds, Jalen. It's okay. It's okay.
So we didn't really see that with Shula, where the hopes was, can we get over the hump to make the playoff? That didn't happen. Now we're getting a connection in the SEC in Briles, and it is a lot of talk saying, okay, we think Beamer can really turn this around with the acquisitions that you had both on the coaching staff and from a talent perspective in the portal and with the incoming freshman class.
I mean, look, it's one of those deals where Briles has been there, done that. He's been successful. He's been successful with this type of quarterback. He brought his own offensive line coach with him. And, they got a ton of O linemen in the portal. They have a couple of very important ones coming back in Josiah Thompson and Shed Surratt. So we'll see what they put together. I feel like the pieces are there for the offensive line to be good.
Yes.
And how much of what we've seen in the struggles of South Carolina on the offensive line has been coaching and development, we're going to find out. So Greg McElroy, number 10 sleeper this year is South Carolina. All right, bottom of the hour, Jack Velcher, Gamecock Central, go talk some baseball with us, winning 2 out of 3 this weekend over Northern Kentucky, an underwhelming 2 out of 3. We'll talk about that next for a few minutes, and we get you ready for Jack at 4:30 here on the postgame show. Terry Ford, Jalen Tart, and
the mannequin chicken,
the stuffed gamecock. We're here till 6 on the game. Dr. Dan, the folks at the Men's Clinic, we've been talking about them for, it's been 4 or 5 years now, discussing what they can do for you. You're a guy, you're just going through some issues, whether it's a lack of drive in life, whether it's you're not sleeping, you're not exercising as well as you used to, you're not recovering from it like you did back in the day, maybe you can't remember things like you used to. Whatever it is, it could be something as simple as low T, or whatever the case may be. The Men's Clinic of South Carolina is there to help you and get to the bottom of it. 803-875-MENS. Make that call, set a free confidential appointment, tell them your story. They'll do a low testosterone test on you, and they'll see what's going on with you. And when they figure it out, they'll put you on a program specifically designed for you to get you back to feeling like you again. Just make the call and go on over. It doesn't hurt. 803-875-MENS. It's a Men's Clinic of South Carolina. Make the call. Bottom of the hour, Jack Veltri, Gamecock Central. Dig more into the weekend of South Carolina baseball. Winning 2 out of 3 over Northern Kentucky, it didn't feel like won 2 out of 3, yeah. It was more like, kind of won 2 out of 3.
It's like they were just crawling to the finish line, like the visitor entering the Krusty Krab in the middle of nowhere.
Just, they won 2 out of 3. Yeah, it's okay. It's all right. Wasn't great. But you won. Yeah. Woo. That's the feeling most folks I've talked to had about it. It was that, yeah, it won, but it didn't feel good, right? You just, and look, we say this all the time in sports, and it's true, but it's also kind of that go-to when your team doesn't like what you call play great, but they just win. You always go like this, yeah, but a win's a win. Mm-hmm. Whenever you do that one, let me decode that. Yeah, didn't play good. Could have played a lot better. Didn't make me feel good, but they won. That's what a win is a win means. And that's what you got. You got a win is a win. Taking 2 out of 3. You really almost lost 2 out of 3 if you don't come back in game 2 on Friday. Offensively, things were for South Carolina. Here is Paul Maneri. Let's grab a cut here.
Gotcha.
Let's start off with cut 2. Again, South Carolina did not hit the ball well at all in game 3. Left a lot of runners on base / ducks on the pond. And here's what head coach Paul Maneri said about going into game 3 and what could have maybe possibly played into the lethargic offensive performance for South Carolina in the game 3 loss to Northern Kentucky.
Well, it wasn't really today, David, just with runners in scoring position. We just didn't swing the bats good at all today. It's just, it's hard to understand, really. I expected a lot more. I told you yesterday, I thought we'd come out and really explode today. I knew the guys were tired from yesterday. It was a long day, 18 innings. It was, we had a lot of guys whose legs were cramping and so forth. So we decided not even to take batting practice on the field and just do it exclusively in the batting cages to try to let their bodies heal a little bit. But obviously, I didn't have them ready to play today. They just needed to, be a little more disciplined and ready to go. And I just kind of felt like, they played like they were very tired from yesterday. And, no matter, what you try to do to inspire them, sometimes it just doesn't work. And, I just felt like, everything was just in slow motion today, that we were doing a lot of walking around. Our bat speed wasn't good. We were swinging at bad pitches. And, I thought we were going to go the other direction today. I thought they'd be really excited about playing. It's only the second day of the season, but I just think, maybe it wasn't the right thing to do. We should have just gone through a batting practice session. If guys were too sore to play, I should have just played somebody else. But, I just thought we'd be hitting better than we are.
Okay. First of all, I appreciate Paul Maneri's honesty, transparency, his unfiltered thoughts, because it's good for our business. We're kind of like do sports talk for a living. We love people who just say stuff. It's really good for us. But sometimes it's good just not to say certain things. For example, we go over this on the show every now and then. Mm-hmm. Remember that song, "Honesty is the best policy. Be honest in all you do," whatever. Oh man, that was like Whitney Houston doing the Star Spangled Banner. That was beautiful right there by me. But you know what? The real truth in life, honesty is not always the best policy. And in that regard, Coach Maneri, I'll give you the answer that maybe Paul should have dropped. Look, today we just it's one of those days at the plate. We didn't have good at-bats at times. We just didn't barrel a lot of balls. We didn't hit with runners on scoring position when we got guys on. It was just a rough day at the plate, a rough day offensively all the way around. Hey, it's only game 3. I'm confident we're going to get better.
Yeah, I would have took that.
That's what should have been said. What Coach Maneri just said, and God love him, he's just being honest. But again, what's that song, Jalen?
Honesty is the best. I'm not singing the song.
No, because you can't top mine.
No,
because,
I'm not doing that.
Because here's the thing. In this case, honesty was not the best policy. Because I'm telling you, I've lost track of how many Gamecock baseball fans that I have any kind of interaction with have said this: tired? You're 20 years old. You're tired. It's the third game of the year. You're playing baseball. You're not dragging Iditarod sleds around. My God, you're tired?
That's me dropping Stanley from The Office doing the eye roll of something, somebody saying something very annoying. But anyway, when he said that, I'm like, what? I'm like, why are you saying your players are tired? I mean, mind you, they played 18 straight innings because due to inclement weather. Then the preparation for the third game, you put them in batting cages?
Well, I just look at it this way. I feel like you just don't even go into behind the curtain. You just say it was a bad day at the office. We're working. We're going to be better. I'm confident we're going to be better. Next question. The minute you open that door with, they were tired, so we just batted in the cages. We didn't do batting practice on the field. Because when you lose, fans are always looking for the reason you lost.
Because you should have won.
And it's Northern Kentucky. Look, look, Florida lost. I mean, there were some power schools who lost to mid-majors over the weekend. It wasn't just South Carolina. But to your point, fans don't care about what Florida did. Fans don't care what other power conference teams lost. They care about South Carolina.
Yes.
And fans here are going, how in the bleep do you lose to Northern Kentucky? That's just flat out it, right?
Yes.
That's all people are saying.
Then the second game, you get a walk-off home run. You give fans some hope. I'm like, okay,
here's the
they're
thing.
really doing something right now.
You were down in game 2 late.
Yeah.
So you were a couple of opportunities away if they would have gone differently to maybe losing 2 out of 3. So fans are like, wait a minute. Wait, let me get this right. This team was sort of lethargic in game 3 of the season because they were tired.
That's a poor.
And then I got one of these today. A buddy of mine and he loves baseball. He goes, how can you be tired playing baseball at that age? My buddy was like flipping out. He's like, my God, at 20, I was playing 12 hours of pickup basketball hungover. How can they be tired after playing 2 games of baseball? So that's the door you open. And whether it's fair or not, right or wrong, whatever, again, that's the door you open when you say, going into after game 3, your players were tired.
So now my thing is that going to be the excuse for the entire season going forward?
No, I just think it was. I mean, again, I think Paul Maneri was telling the truth. I think in his mind, he thought these guys were tired after playing 18 innings. I think he thought they were lethargic. They just, they just had a rough day because they were tired. Now, again, you can think that all you want. You just don't say it out loud.
Yeah, you can't. Yeah.
Because, again, I'll say something else, too. If this team was coming off a trip to the Supers last year or a trip to Omaha, and they played like that Saturday and lost, and Paul Maneri said they were tired, the fan base would not be as they are right now over this. So you're coming off an underwhelming year. You lose game 3 of the series, and you hear that the team was tired after a doubleheader. That's why, again, I go back to my original point, Jalen. Honesty, I got a new song. Honesty is not the best policy when doing a press conference. I mean, you sometimes just don't say anything. I'll repeat it one more time. We just had a rough day at the plate. It happens. It's baseball. We won 2 out of 3. We'll learn from it and move on. Next question. I'm here to help. I will charge a small fee for writing this. I'll help. All right, Jack Velcher, Gamecock Central. Dig more into the weekend where South Carolina won 2 out of 3 over Northern Kentucky. That's next. Here on the postgame show, Jalen and Terry and my stuffed Gamecock friend from my office up until 6 on the game.
This is 107.5 The Game with your local traffic report. We have an accident in West Columbia on Garner's Terrace Road at US 321, Garner's Ferry Road near US 601, McCord's Ferry Road, and another accident report in Lexington County in I-20 eastbound before US 1 exit 58. And we have another accident in downtown Columbia on Sumter Street at Elmwood Avenue. We also do have a long-term construction as usual. If you're trying to get home from work and you need to seek an alternative route, please do so immediately. We'll have more on 107.5 The Game on the Postgame Show with Terry and Jalen's Hart coming up.
Post-game show. Terry Ford, Jalen Tart hanging out, punching the buttons for us. Do not forget, later tonight, South Carolina men's basketball, and we have South Carolina baseball. But the baseball game on our sister station, 98.5 WOMG, 5:15 pregame, 5:30 first pitch from Wofford. Men's basketball tonight as well. That is here on 107.5 The Game here in Columbia, and our affiliate 100.3 The Game in Myrtle Beach. 7 o'clock pregame, or 6:30 pregame, 7 o'clock tip in Gainesville as South Carolina takes on number 12 Florida. Jack Veltry's at Wofford. He's ready to rock and roll for tonight's baseball game. By the way, Jalen, Jack, he jogged. He distance ran.
How far
How many
did you
miles was
jog?
that, Jack?
Yeah, I was about to ask.
What's that?
How many miles to Wofford from here in Columbia?
I don't know exact mileage. I think it's under 100. It was about an hour 20 to get out here to Spartanburg. So it's a pretty quick drive, and I'm here at the ballpark now, guys, and this is my first time here. It is really nice.
Nice. So you ran there in a minute 20. That's impressive.
Oh,
He did the Forrest Gump speed run.
That's impressive.
That's right. I am quicker than the Flash. I am quicker than Death. Pretty quick.
Jack Veltry PR'd to Wofford today. All right, man. So let me ask you this. I listened to most of the doubleheader on Friday. Obviously, the Saturday loss when you just couldn't get a hit with runners in scoring position, really just offensively a bad day all the way around. But you do win 2 out of 3. You could have lost game 2 if you didn't come back and get the game winner late. Was that one of those, you won 2 out of 3, but blah series, Jack, where you walk away like with bitter beer face?
I think so. I think my thought after that series was, all right, yes, they got the series win, but I think the last game holds a pretty big shadow over that series because of the way you lost in that game that was very winnable. But you're right, Terry. Like, South Carolina easily could have lost the series if it weren't for making a late comeback in Friday night's nightcap of that doubleheader. The thing that I think a lot of people, including myself, will take away from it is that there's still some problems from last year that are evident. Now, it's a 3-game sample size, and that's all we have to go off of right now. And it's a pretty much, for the most part, a brand-new-looking team. But they did go 4 for 30 with runners in scoring position and 10 for 47 with runners on base. That was a problem this team had last year, and at least for 3 games, it carried over into this season. So you're kind of hoping now as you get into the season, the weather gets a little bit warmer and you're playing different teams, you're going to swing the bats a lot better. I mean, even Paul Maneri after Saturday's game was talking about, like, I just thought we'd be swinging the bats a lot better by now. But it is only 3 games into the year. And on the bright side, the pitching was very good over the weekend. So I think the offense will eventually get it going. They have to. This is a much improved group on paper, but they've got to go out here and show it. But it was a successful weekend in that they won the series, but definitely some things to be concerned about.
Jack Veltri hanging out with us from Gamecock Central, talking about the opening series of the season. South Carolina taking 2 out of 3 from Northern Kentucky tonight against Wofford and Spartanburg. 5:15 pregame, 5:30 first pitch on our sister station, 98.5 WOMG. Brad Muller doing the play-by-play tonight, along with our buddy Stuart Lake doing the analysis. All right, so, Jack, we look at these 3 games, and you were talking about the pitching. You pitched well enough to sweep. Let's just be honest. Who impressed you the most in those 3 games? Who took the hill?
I think all 3 starters, for the pitch counts they were throwing and the innings limit they were on, it went about as well as it could have for the most part. Like, I didn't realize this, Terry. South Carolina only get 4 extra base hits that entire weekend, and a lot of those guys that were starting, they kept the ball in the yard. So really good effort on that part. But I will say, besides the starting pitching, I think you got a lot of innings from guys that are going to have to contribute this year, and Josh Gunther and Alex Valentine, who, as Maneri kind of put it, are going to be like the piggyback long relief guys to come in after these starters. They pitched very well, and that plan worked. Now, will it work every weekend? I don't know. Will that be the plan every weekend, right? Like, will these guys be just long relief guys the entire year, or the better odds are they're probably going to start at some point this year? But I think those guys, Valentine and Gunther, probably were the most impressive because we see now that there is a plan, right? You can get 5 innings out of a starter, and then you can probably depend on Gunther and Valentine to go the rest of the way because they aren't 2-pitch pitchers. They are 3, 4 different pitch type of guys that are able to go out there and get hitters out and throw 50, 60 pitches, and that might be enough to go the rest of the way. So I like what South Carolina has there. And then, the only guys that really struggled this weekend were Cooper Parks and Parker Marlott, who I think are going to be fine. Parks wasn't very good last year, but he had a good preseason. And then Marlott, just a very uncharacteristically bad outing. He's more reliable more times than not. So I think this pitching staff's in good shape right now.
Jack Veltri, Gamecock Central, yapping about the weekend, the first weekend of the Carolina baseball season here on the postgame show on the Game Network, and at the Game TV Radio on YouTube, where we have my wonderful stuffed Gamecock from my office as our guest today, Jack, by the way. I got to fill the chair, man. I mean, I got tired of looking at the video stream and seeing backpacks. So now we got a stuffed Gamecock.
Yeah,
I sacrificed my buddy. You know my office. I got my stuffed Gamecock's my pal. Now he's down here.
Yep.
We signing autographs after the show. All right, so, Jack, we look at the offense. Who impressed you and who struggled that's got to not struggle moving forward?
There were a few guys that struggled. I think Patrick Evans, I didn't realize he only hit like 150 this weekend. He's not in the starting lineup tonight. I'm sure, as we'll get into, the lineup looks completely different tonight, Terry, than any of the games this past weekend. Evans would be one. I think, again, it's 3 games. He'll be fine. Logan Sutter had a rough series. He got pinch hit for a couple times this weekend and went hitless the entire weekend, starting at second base. He's not starting tonight either. He's a guy that struggled going back to the fall and the preseason. And, I asked Paul about this the other day. I mean, you don't want this to carry on any longer, but, I mean, at what point do you kind of go ahead and just make changes? And we see that tonight with Jack Reynolds starting at second base. For South Carolina to really have success, like, they can be fine without Sutter doing a lot, I think. But, I mean, look, he was the guy that you brought in to be the star of this offense. Mm-hmm. He hit 360 at Purdue last year, 15 homers, 22 doubles, like an 1,100 OPS. I say you can live without him in this lineup because you have other guys that can step up. That may mean South Carolina's a good team if they all really do well, but they can be a great team if Logan Sutter is a force in this offense. But he hasn't been since his time at South Carolina. So I don't know when he's going to get going. I don't know how many opportunities he's going to have moving forward. It's 3 games, but he's been struggling since the beginning of the fall. A guy that I would say has really stood out so far, I'd probably go with Tyler Bach. He's been everything I envisioned. I think when I was talking with you guys like a few weeks ago, who I think is going to really turn heads the most, it's Tyler Bach. He's your leadoff guy, gets on base, steals bases. We saw how clutch he was in Friday night's doubleheader. Look, there's no KJ Scobie winning that game with a walk-off home run if it's not for Bach having a a pair of 2-run singles to tie the game and then give South Carolina. So he's been really good so far.
I agree. Jack Veltri, first time at Wofford. You like it, huh?
So it's like, it's not even, I don't even know if this is technically Wofford, though, because it's at the minor league ballpark.
Yeah.
Spartanburg. So I've never been to Wofford's campus. I'm assuming I'll probably look it up after. It's probably not too far from here. I guess we're in the little downtown area, and it's not too bad out here. It's kind of nice. I like this ballpark a lot.
Good deal. Jack Veltri, Gamecock Central. He'll be, you going to make it back in time to hang out with Tyler tomorrow?
Oh, yeah, of course. I would never miss it.
Jack Veltri, 9 to 11 with Tyler Head tomorrow on the Extra Point. Jack, I appreciate you, my man. Go enjoy the game and eat everything in sight. I will pop back.
I think
in.
he hung up.
He's gone, man.
Yeah, I think he's gone.
He's going to go eat everything in sight.
He wants to take in the aura of Wofford's ballpark.
And tomorrow we're going to find out all. We'll find out tomorrow morning from 9 to 11 about the aura in Spartanburg. Yes, we will. All right, pop back. More Gamecock conversation. What's South Carolina going to do regarding their special teams opening? That's next here on the Postgame Show with Terry and Jalen on the Game and the Game Network. All right, so South Carolina. No Joe DeCamillis, special teams coach, has moved on to be the special teams coach for the Vegas Raiders. And good for Joe D. He wanted to get back to the NFL. He did. Here's my thought on this. With Joe DeCamillis. I thought he did a solid job.
Mm-hmm.
It was fine. Special teams were all right last year. I mean, Pete Limbo, a few years before, had some excellent special teams. Pete's last special teams crew, they were okay. Not as good as his other versions, but still fine. Joe DeCamillis, his were fine. 2 years ago, I thought, there was again, the kicking situation here has not instilled confidence the last couple years, to be fair. But I thought Joe D's special teams last year were pretty good. You had Vakari Swain return some kicks for scores. Your coverage units were solid. The punting was good. I mean, and the place kicking was fine. But Joe always seemed like an odd fit. Lifetime NFL guy, except for the year before he came to South Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
He went to the college game. I felt like this with Joe DeCamillis. He's a ball coach.
Yep.
Loves coaching special teams. Had been in the NFL for a long, long time. Maybe he just wasn't getting some NFL job sniffs. So he said, I'm going to go to college. So he's in college for a year. Then he became special teams coach here at South Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
And he talked to the media. He was fine. We talked to the media. But in the NFL, remember, special teams coaches aren't being trotted in front of microphones all the time in the league.
Right.
So I don't know how comfortable he was with the overall vibe of college. Got to go recruit because you're always recruiting in the SEC. And just the whole vibe of being a college special teams coach as the comparison of being an NFL special teams coach for over 2 decades. It just never felt like old Joe D was totally comfortable. But now he got his shot to get back to the NFL with the Raiders. God love you. Good luck. Hope it works out for you, man. Happy for you. So now Shane is going to have to find a special teams coach. Obviously, Shane knows a thing or two about special teams. So it'll be interesting to see who Shane brings in.
It is interesting, and I think the last Pete Limbo and DeCamillis did, Pete Limbo to me is the guy that I remember, with the special team schemes and stuff like that, and then Joe DeCamillis doing a solid job, and I think this is like a gold in the rough type of hire to where if you bring somebody in that is going to impact the program, like what you have on defense with Clayton White, what you have on offense with Kendall Browse, I think this hire alone, I think Beamer is really going to have a specialty, knowing that he is a special teams guy, to have some connections to bring in the right person to fit what Carolina's trying to do in the upcoming season.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm going to go to the post from our buds at Gamecock Central. In terms of timing, this move didn't just come out of nowhere. The possibility had been percolating since Super Bowl weekend. And late last week, it was pretty much known behind the scenes that this was going to happen. Obviously, if you're Shane, you give the dude a bro hug and send him on his way because he's going back to the NFL where he really didn't want to leave in the first place. Let's just be honest. So Shane, as of the writing in front of me, there's no names that the folks at Gamecock Central could pass along. So basically, what Gamecock Central is being told that current coordinators in the SEC, Big 12, and ACC, in addition to NFL personnel, have reached out about the job. So obviously, once we hear something, we'll pass it along as well. So that's kind of where it's at. We'll see where it goes. It could be wrapped up in the next few days. So Joe D moving on back to the NFL, and now South Carolina will look around to see.
I wouldn't be surprised if it's an NFL guy again. I just don't know who it could be, though.
It could be. I mean, look, not to be mean, most people wouldn't have known Pete Limbo if they fell over him when he first got here as a special teams coach. Joe DeCamillis was a known quantity because he was in the NFL for so long as a special teams coach. But, I mean, just be ready for the hire of who the hell's that guy.
Yeah.
That's okay. A lot of who the hell is that guy end up being good coaches.
Because there's a lot of uncertainty can play it could be a positive factor because you don't know what they're going to do, but it could be a blessing in disguise for not only just the team, but for the fans as well, just to see what your scheme you're gonna do.
Right. I mean, look, whatever type of coach you go get, if he coaches the heck out of special teams and your special teams are a weapon and they are helping you win games and not lose them, and you're happy, right?
Yep.
You're good.
Yep.
That's where you're at. So we'll see which direction Shane goes for his special teams coaching hire. Obviously, we'll keep you up to date on that. 5 o'clock news sponsored by Integrated Media coming up. Don't forget, we have our golf outing. We'll talk more about that in the 5 o'clock hour as well. Partnered up once again with our buddy Rock at Charwood. We'll get into the spring golf outing here in just a little bit. Let you know what you got to do to get signed up and get ready to roll. 5 o'clock news again by Integrated Media coming up next here on the Postgame Show. Terry and Jalen on the game.
This is Jalen Tart with 107.5 The Game for your traffic report. There's an accident in Lexington on Gardner's Terrace Road at US 321. And there's also another accident on Hardscrabble Road at Elders Pond Road in Richland County, and another accident in Lexington with slow traffic on I-20 between I-26, XX64, and Bush River Road. And there's another accident in Lexington County on Peach Festival Road between Warner Road and US 1. You also have long-term road construction in Lexington and Richland County. And so enter the 5 o'clock hour as people are leaving work, getting home, and trying to get food for their kids and for their husbands and wives. Have more coming up on 175 The Game.
All right, 5 o'clock news. Take a look, get some of the sound in the next couple of segments from the weekend, from the coaches. We'll start off with Dawn Staley, South Carolina, the women getting a really nice 79-72 win over LSU in Baton Rouge. Let's get cut number 9. Dawn Staley talking about the Johnsons, Raven and Tessa making it happen. Tessa, of course, a phenomenal first half, draining threes. Raven, a couple of big hoops down the stretch. South Carolina gets the W over LSU. And again, here's cut 9. Dawn talking about Raven and Tessa.
Yeah, I mean, they had to. I mean, when you're down, a ball handler like Maddie McDaniel, I mean, your veterans got to go to, probably play a lot more than we wanted them to play, and we did try to get them a little break before timeouts. But they're built for it, and maybe if they could have gotten a couple of other blows throughout the second half, they might have had enough energy to make some more plays down the stretch. But they were exhausted, but they got us over the mountaintop.
And they sure did. I mean, the offense was Tessa Johnson in the first half, where in the second quarter, she was just throwing up threes, and it was just nothing but net. After LSU would come back with a score to kind of close the game within one, here comes Tessa Johnson with the ball, shooting threes and just being efficient. She's known as the SEC leading three-point shooter in total three-point attempts and in three-point percentage with 49.5.
Oh, she's making threes.
Them.
There's no doubt. Look, the thing with South Carolina, we talked about this in the opening riff of the show, Tessa started making threes, raining them in the first half, and then that changed the entire way defensively that LSU guarded Tessa and guarded the Gamecocks. So basically it was a 4-on-4 game because the LSU defender was not leaving Tessa. And then Tessa would just kind of go stand somewhere away from the action a little bit, so to speak, to pull her defender. And it's a 4-on-4 game. There's more space on the court for South Carolina to operate offensively. But, again, that's how much Tessa affected that game, even more than points. And then Raven with the big buckets later on in the game. And South Carolina gets a very, very hard-fought, satisfying 79-72 win in Baton Rouge over the LSU Tigers. Next up is Alabama on Thursday. You can hear it on our sister station, B1067. All right, for the men, it did not go as well. But Michi Johnson did lead the way. Michi got hot in the second half. Here's Lamont Paris. Let's take cut 16.
Gotcha.
First half Michi versus second half Michi.
I don't know. He played better. He was more aggressive. I mean, I don't think there's any doubt that he was more aggressive. He was, he had what I thought was an open look in the first half, and then he hesitated on it, and then he shot that one, which we always talk about. That's probably one of the worst shots because that one, the percentages go way down if you don't do it when you're in rhythm and you're doing it because you passed up an opportunity. But so he was more aggressive in the second half. When you get behind, also the game ends up turning into more more ball screen and driving in the second half. A lot of games end up turning into that. They're playing to try to protect the lead, so there's other things that they're trying to make sure they take away, and that leads to some opportunities driving the ball to the basket. But he was certainly much more aggressive in the second half than he was in the first half, and that was not by design on our part. He was more aggressive.
Michi got to the free throw line, tried to get something going. Now, South Carolina did cut the deficit down to single digits in the second half at one point. But again, look, Alabama's just better.
Yeah, talent-wise.
Yeah, I mean, look, we always end up back at this conversation. To get better, you have to spend more money. And also to get better, you have to have a head coach who you're confident in, who can evaluate talent through the portal and can bring that talent in and have it mesh in a very short period of time. Now, is that Lamont? We'll have that conversation at the end of the year. But I think the conversation that has to continue to happen is whether it's Lamont Paris or whoever, you've got to invest more money in the men's basketball program. You just do.
Yep.
So South Carolina, they will play Florida tonight, 6:30 pregame, 7 o'clock tip. And the Gators are on a heater, man. They're playing well.
And they dominated you at home. They gave all the other teams the recipe to kind of like dominate and punk Carolina. And now you got to go to Gainesville, the swamp, and play them, knowing that that's a very hostile environment. It's hard to win there. And they're playing their best basketball in a crucial part of the season before March comes right around the corner.
Their guards are starting to get better, especially Xavier Lee, the Ivy League transfer. If Lee plays at the level everybody thinks he can to go with that backcourt, Florida's dangerous, very dangerous. All right, real quick, baseball winning 2 out of 3 over Northern Kentucky, but losing Saturday's third game of the series. Here's Paul Maneri. We talked about the fatigue issue with this team during Saturday's loss to Northern Kentucky. Let's hear Coach Maneri talk about how do you fix the fatigue issue. Hit it.
Well, it wasn't really today, David.
Wrong one. Hold on.
Yeah, we cut 6.
I got you.
It's been a challenge, your whole life to inspire and motivate them and try to explain to them that each game counts the same. As what happened, what we did yesterday doesn't mean anything today, and you got to be ready to go. Sometimes, if you've got the personnel to do it, you play a few different guys that maybe are more excited about getting out there. They're not as tired and sore. And I think in retrospect, maybe I maybe could have played a couple of different guys today that were a little more fresh than the guys that played 18 innings yesterday. But who am I going to take out? Scobie, Dawson? I mean, these guys have been what you think could be your best players, I mean, Scobie got a couple of hits, but then had a couple of not so good at bats. Same with Dawson. He didn't have any hits today, but, look all around the field, the guys that you think are your better guys, you go with them, but you just hope that they're inspired. They just seemed lethargic today, and I'm sure, by the time they got out of here last night, they were tired. And I was even texting with some of them at 10:30, 11 o'clock last night, and a couple of them were like, Tyler Bach his legs were still cramping at 11 o'clock last night. So what was I going to do, not play Bach today, after the day he had yesterday? You just you make those decisions on the best you can, and hopefully they learn from this. And we'll have a doubleheader with Princeton on a Saturday, and we'll have a Sunday game. So we'll see how ready they are if we have to play some different guys the next day.
All right, there's Paul Maneri talking about the fatigue issue, and it's like, again, you got guys cramping, some issues there. I mean, look, we went back to this before. Why even bring this up? If I'm Coach Maneri, I'm just saying we just didn't hit. We will, though. I feel confident about my guys. Next question. Because when you open that door, Jalen, you open it even wider, and you start answering questions about Tyler Bach's cramping and these and that and that and this, and it just, the better thing was just to say, we just didn't get knocks with runners in scoring position and men on base. It's a long season. I know in my heart we will end up getting those hits. I believe in my guys. Next question. See how simple that was? Look what I did there.
My mic was not on, and it would not let me talk. But yes, I agree with what you said.
Exactly. So, all right. Very interesting, and this is about the 5 o'clock news sponsor, our Buds Integrated Media. Very interesting situation at Kansas State.
Yes.
Kansas State has fired their head coach, Jerome Tang, basketball coach, men's basketball coach. Tang kind of went on a tirade after his team got whooped at home. And here is that tirade, or a piece of it. Cut 21 there, Jalen.
This was embarrassing. These dudes do not deserve to wear this uniform. There will be very few of them in it next year. I'm embarrassed for the university. I'm embarrassed for our fans, our student section. You know, it is just ridiculous. We got practice at 6 a.m. tomorrow morning, and we will get this thing right. I have no answer, no words. So y'all got 2 questions. So whoever want to ask 2 questions, I'll answer them to the best of my ability right now. But right now, I'm pissed.
And now he's unemployed.
And now he's trying to get his money.
Well, that thing he should. I mean, Glenn Taylor, the AD, and this is embarrassing on Kansas State's part. They're trying to fire him for cause, saying he breached his contract about saying things that embarrass the university. There's nothing there to embarrass the university. He's just being honest about his players, and his players stunk this year. And Kansas State spends money on basketball.
Yes.
And and the performance, when you're sitting at 1-11, it's a coaching issue, a player's issue, and everything issue. And Tang was frustrated. Now, should he also, and I didn't hear everything in the presser, should he also blame himself? Absolutely. You take responsibility first as a leader. But then if you're going to go to lengths to say what he said about his players, okay, they're being held accountable too. Now, would I have done that? No. But the point is, I don't think Jerome Tang did anything to breach his contract. Kansas State just doesn't want to pay his buyout. They want to try to get out of paying him.
Yeah.
Tang's going to take him to court, and his attorney said something like, oh, if you think you were embarrassed by the comments of the coach, wait till you see what we do to you in court.
And I'm interested to see how this is going to play out.
I hope Tang wins and Kansas State has to bring a big old Happy Gilmore check into the courtroom. Because that's ridiculous.
I will say in the press conference, to say that some of your players won't be returning, the way that he said that, I think that was a little bit too far.
But that's not breach of contract.
Right.
That's just, dude, let's put it this way. Can I be honest with you?
Yes, go ahead.
If Jerome Tang was coming off a trip to the Final Four, he'd still have a job.
Yes.
Let's just be real here.
I agree.
You're trying. Look, the team has not been good since Tang went to the Elite Eight a couple years ago. You haven't made the tournament. You've hit rock bottom this year. You want to get rid of him, but you don't want to pay him, so now you're making stuff up. Man up and write the check. Move on. Look, Jerome Tang should be fired. That's not that some point. The point is pay the man the buyout.
Yes.
Don't be these people.
Yes.
All right. Gamecock Notebook coming up next here on the Postgame Show on the Game Network, and at the Game TV Radio on YouTube. Ba-ba-boom, ba-boom. Boom, ba-boom, ba-boom, ba-boom.
You grooving, ain't it?
So's a Gamecock. Look at him go. Woo! Gamecock's rolling, baby. All right. Gamecock Notebook. I want to get to this cut. Ray Tanner, obviously being honored over the weekend. Again, I guess Dawn Staley, Ray Tanner are head and shoulders the two best coaches in modern Gamecock history.
Agreed. Could Steve Spurrier be in there?
I mean, Spurrier's in that conversation, what he did, but I mean, Dawn Staley and Ray Tanner won national championships.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, what Spurrier did in football was excellent.
It was a culture move.
Yeah, it was excellent. You got to go way back to the 70s for Frank McGuire's success on the basketball court for the men. It's been 50 years, man, and we've had this conversation about Gamecocks men's basketball. Mm-hmm. So anyway, Ray Tanner was honored, was asked by Jack Veltri, by the way, about the state of men's sports at South Carolina, because if you look at it, it's been a bad run.
Yep.
Baseball team, terrible last year. Men's basketball team, terrible last year. Football team, only won 4 games. Basketball team again this year, terrible. Baseball team has just started off 2-1, and everybody's going, I got to gargle. And we'll see what happens with the football team. So Ray Tanner was asked about the current state of men's sports at South Carolina, and here is the former AD's answer.
Well, the thing that, it is cyclical. I believe that. That it happens that way. There's ups and downs, and, we're talking about men's basketball this morning a little bit with one of my friends, and, just a couple years ago, Lamont won 26 games. So did he forget how to coach? No. Things happen, and, for whatever reason, not everybody, there's 16 teams in the SEC, and, not everybody can be in that mode, but I know tonight the men and women play at the same time at 8:30, so I follow it closely, and I live vicariously through what's going on. I love being here, and you want everybody to do well and to win, and you check the softball scores if you're not there, or you see how equestrian team's doing. That's just what it's all about.
So the root word in cyclical, the word is cycle. So it's like, is that what he sees in the
He just thinks it's on a bad cycle. Here's my thing. In the past, in the old world, yes, it could be cyclical. You would have your big dogs like, Bama, year in and year out is excellent, competing for championships. Georgia's become a perennial championship contender. Ohio State's been good for, it feels like, 1 billion years. Oklahoma might be the second most consistent program in the history of college football behind Ohio State. There are certain schools that are good year in and year out on a championship level. There's some schools who are just good year in and year out. Mm-hmm. And then you have another layer where they're good for a year or two, then they might fall back, have to rebuild, retool, get back to being good again, then fall back, get good again. That was the old days, right? Mm-hmm. But in today's world, and again, I understand, if you're a fan, you go, wait a minute. Well, what about Indiana? What about Vanderbilt?
Yep.
Well, wait a minute. Hold on here. Indiana was the worst football program in the history of football programs, and they just won a national championship and went undefeated. Vanderbilt's been a punchline for years. They won 10 games.
And then, and it's not just for football. Their women's basketball team has turned it around,
Their men's basketball team is ranked.
Yes.
Right now, Vanderbilt has a better sports program for their men than South Carolina does.
Wow.
Run that one through your skull. If you look at success, it's just the way it is. You look at men's basketball. NIL can also help men's basketball. Alabama with a new head coach, very analytically driven, has hit the portal a ton. All of a sudden, they're bringing in talented players. They've built up, and they spent $15 million on their basketball program last year, and they made $24 million. Mm-hmm. All of a sudden, Alabama, which nobody even cared about men's basketball, all of a sudden, that place is packed. Auburn, Since Charles Barkley, a lot of people haven't cared about Auburn basketball until Bruce Pearl showed up, and all of a sudden became one of the toughest venues in the country.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, look at the rise again of Iowa State out in the Big 12.
Yeah.
Texas Tech. I mean, they went to a national championship game with Chris Beard, but they're back.
Yep.
We can go through this thing and look and see teams on the rise. St. John's, I'm telling you, St. John's was cryogenically frozen for about 3 decades.
And then they get Rick Pitino,
you go get Rick Pitino, and now they're spending money, and now all of a sudden St. John's is 13-1 in the Big East again.
Yes.
My point is that saying things are cyclical now, just whether it's right or wrong, doesn't fly. Because you see these success stories. Nebraska basketball is 11-3 in the Big Ten.
Yeah, and then last year they went 20-0.
I mean, think about this for a minute. Nebraska has never won an NCAA tournament men's basketball game in the program's history.
Wow.
They are sitting right now at 21-4, 11-3 in. I mean, they are 22-3 and 11-3 in conference. I mean, there are turnarounds, quick turnarounds. Say the transfer portal, NIL. There's so many things now that can get you in the right direction quick. I think cyclical is dead.
Yes.
Not to be mean, not to be disagreeing. Ray Tanner's forgot more about a lot of things in life than I'll ever know. I just think that's an old school thought process of the old days of college athletics. Yeah, Lamont 2 years ago made the NCAA tournament, and the last 2 seasons have been a disaster. 3 of Lamont's 4 years have been bad.
Bad.
Just bad. So, and why is that? Well, part of it is nobody in the SEC spends less money on men's basketball than South Carolina.
In recruiting?
I mean, point being is, if you're not spending money, you're not getting players.
Yep.
And the other thing is, if you're a coach, you're going to be able to identify players and make players fit your system. And you still can develop players. So I guess my point is, you see these fast turnarounds. You see guys land in place, and all of a sudden you see success. You see schools all of a sudden put resources toward a certain sport, and then that certain sport gets better.
Yep.
So I just can't think you can just sit back and go, cycles, man. It's all about cycles. I don't know if that's the answer in modern college athletics. I think the answer should be, we suck and we're going to fix it. How do we fix it? Is it more resources? Is it more money toward it? Is it another coach? What do we do to fix it?
Yep.
You just can't sit back and go, it's cyclical. It'll come back. No, that's not the. And in a world now where you're asking for money from everybody, Jalen, that's not the right answer to the question either.
And I think that's a question for Jeremiah Donati after this season. It's like, what can we do to put butts in the seats for the men's college basketball? Look at what women's softball is doing. Look at what women's basketball is doing. They're playing in the same arena as the men, and the women's games are being sold out, almost sold out, every single home game.
Well, 2 years ago, it was sold out for the men when they were really good.
Yeah.
So the point is, this is a fan base that would love to go and watch men's basketball, but they don't want to watch this. They want to see a team that's competitive.
Yes.
And 3 of Lamont's 4 years, they haven't been. But again, it's also that no one spends less money on men's basketball than South Carolina through Lamont's tenure. So again, my point is that, again, Ray's right. In the old days, it was a lot of cyclical stuff once you got past that top level, right? Mm-hmm. But I don't think cyclical is the way you can look at it now because of the transfer portal, NIL, collectives, the finances, the money. I think you can turn something around really quick, but you can also go into crapper really quick if you don't continue to
break that cycle.
Yeah, I mean, it's again, a right answer 20 years ago, maybe even 10 years ago, but now I don't think you can sit back and say it's cyclical and things will just automatically at some point turn back to you. You got to be aggressive and you got to go at it and you got to throw resources at it and you got to make sure you have the right coach in place. That's how you fix this thing. You just can't sit back and wait for it to fix itself. Mm-hmm. Sorry, I just think that's the way you have to look at it. And we'll see what happens because we got hot seats everywhere, Jalen.
Yep.
Everywhere you look, there's a hot seat. So we'll find out. All right. drive around the SEC. We'll talk about the weekend in the Southeastern Conference in men's and women's basketball, give you the results, kind of get you caught up on everything that's next here on the postgame show. Jalen and Terry and our buddy, the Stuffed Gamecock.
Yes.
Hang out with us till 6 here on the game.
This is Jalen Tart here with the 107.5 Game Traffic Report. We have an accident of just stop-and-go traffic on I-20 westbound between US 176 and Broad River Road, exit 65, and Bush River Road. We have an accident in Richland County at Hardscrabble Road at Elders Pond Road. Another accident in Lexington County at I-20 eastbound at Long Ponds Road, exit 51, and I-26 westbound between Sunset Boulevard and exit 110. Another accident on Main Street at Columbia Avenue in Lexington. Another accident on Roch Metz Road near I-26. Do you have your long-term construction for everyone that's getting off of work? Please drive home safe. And if you need to seek an alternative route with the accidents I've reported, please do so immediately. We have more coming up on 175 The Game Network.
All right, time we got to drive around the SEC here on the postgame show. Again, tonight, South Carolina visiting Gainesville to take on the Florida Gators. The Gators are on a heater, man.
Yeah.
Playing really well. They've won 5 straight. Since their loss to Missouri at Missouri, 76-72, on January the 3rd, the Florida Gators have lost 1 game. And that was ironically home against Auburn, where they just did not play well. They got down by 15. They cut the margin, made it close, but couldn't get over the hump and lost. That's the only game where they've posted an L since January 3rd. They had a 5-game win streak, lost to Auburn, another 5-game win streak. They've won 10 of 11. They are cooking, man.
I'm just interested to see what type of run they will make in the SEC tournament, and then based off of that, could they potentially go back to the Final Four or potentially a national championship?
They right now are number 5 in Ken Palm. They have number 17 offensive efficiency, 4th in defensive efficiency. They're 41st in tempo, which means they play fast.
Mm-hmm.
If you go deeper dive numbers, they have one of the best front lines in America, and their guards are starting to play better. They're above average in field goal efficiency, number 2 in offensive rebound efficiency in America. South Carolina's got to keep them off the offensive glass, or it could be a long, 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 long night. They are 5th in defensive rebounding efficiency, which means they're just really, really good at rebounding. And again, the front line's one of the best in the country.
Mm-hmm.
Their Achilles heel is shooting threes. They shoot threes. They hit 29.5% from 3, which is 346 in the country. The average is about 34%. They are way below average. There's an interesting stat I heard during their last game, which was a pummeling of Georgia. No team has made the Final Four shooting under 30% from 3. And right now, Florida's a tick under 30%, so they got to get up over 30%. It's a problem.
Mm-hmm.
Their three-point shooting is a problem. But two-point shooting, they're 24th in the country. Not a great free throw shooting team, below average there as well. Point being is they're playing well. Their front line is ridiculous. Their guards, which has been their question mark all year, have been getting more consistent.
Mm-hmm. Gelling at the right time, basically.
Yeah, they are. Again, they're a lot to handle. Let's put it that way. So we'll see what happens tonight against South Carolina. You don't want to get into a race or a fast pace with these guys. You gotta. I'm not telling you to slow it down. I'm telling you play at your pace. Don't play at Florida's. Force them to play slow. Don't you play fast. You cannot run with Florida. You can't if you're South Carolina. Play it slow. Florida doesn't make threes. Force them to shoot threes. Easier said than done because Florida attacks the basket. They don't play around. They will attack the rack. Their average distance on two-pointers is under 5 feet. They go at the basket. They're 24th in the country in short distance on twos. So you have got to be able to deal with them going to the rack. You got to be able to force them to shoot threes. You got to get them out of their pace and get them discombobulated. If not, Jalen, it's going to be a very long night. Just saying. Because Florida's really good. Okay, if you want to win the national championship, you got to be in the top 25 in offensive and defensive efficiency in America.
Mm-hmm.
Here are the teams that fit that criteria right now as we roll through mid-February. Michigan, Duke, Arizona, Houston, Florida.
I just don't know who to pick out of that 5. I mean, yeah, I forgot about them too. Yeah,
Purdue is in that mix.
Yes.
So is UConn. Yep. So is Gonzaga right now. So is Vanderbilt. Who
I don't know about
else here?
Gonzaga. I don't know because you lose to Portland at Portland in the middle of the middle.
Yeah, look, the thing with Gonzaga is they're better defensively than they've been in a while. They played well in the non-conference against better quality opponents. I think they get bored out in that conference.
Yeah.
They're so much better than everybody. I do think there are nights they just get bored, and they get beat because they're bored.
Mm-hmm.
I just do. The only team that's consistently given them trouble out west has been St. Mary's in that conference. Let me see who else in this list. Louisville just misses it. Texas Tech makes it as well. So you've got a handful of teams. Let me add them up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You have about 10 or 11, 12 teams who fit the criteria to win the national title. Point is, Florida, their biggest problem is shooting threes. That will eventually knock them out because they can't make threes.
Mm-hmm.
But if they start to make threes more consistently, get themselves to where, they can pull you out, so to speak, because you got to guard the three-point line, then they get even more dangerous. So tonight, again, 6:30 pregame, 7 o'clock tip, South Carolina and Florida. All right, also around the SEC, as we kind of see where everything's at, we'll look at some of the results. Florida leading the conference at 10-2, Arkansas 9-3, then Vanderbilt, Tennessee, Alabama, Kentucky, all 8-4. Missouri, A&M, Texas, all 7-5. Then everybody else has a losing record. Georgia 5-7, Auburn 5-7, Mississippi State 4-8, Oklahoma 3-9, Ole Miss 3-9, LSU and South Carolina.
Can I just say this?
2-10.
What the hell happened to A&M? Because they were doing really, really well at the start of conference play, and they had a big collapse.
Well, I'll say the league got more tape to scout buckyball. Buckyball is it's different. It's a different type of way to play, and if you never played against it, you get discombobulated. I think teams have gotten more tape on buckyball, and they're kind of getting more ideas on how to slow it down, how to stop them on both ends of the court. And Texas A&M, it's not like they've got a lot of wow talent. They've been beating people because they've executed buckyball very well. But once teams start to get more tape on, you can scout you more. Teams are starting to try to take away some things that Texas A&M wants to do or try to take them out of their style of play. And I think that's what's happened. Now Texas A&M's got to adjust to the adjustments that's been made to them. Make sense?
Yes.
That's where it's at, I think. All right, so tonight in the SEC, besides Florida, South Carolina, Georgia goes to Kentucky. Again, Kentucky sitting nicely at 8-4 in the league, while Georgia's been slipping
a lot.
They started out well, and here lately, though, there's been some scuffling. They have lost 5 of 6.
Wow.
And they've got to get it right. They lost at Oklahoma, and they got curb stomped by a bad Sooner team. 94-78. That's coming off a 20-point loss to Florida, and that's coming off a 12-point. They did beat LSU. Before that, they lost to A&M by 15. Tennessee got them by a point. They got whooped by 20 by Texas, so they've been getting beat and beaten badly at times. So Georgia would like to get this thing turned around, but again, they're on the road at Rupp, taking on Kentucky.
And Kentucky is playing really, really good basketball.
They're getting it going. They're getting it going now. They're 8-4 in league and playing much better basketball.
Yes.
LSU travels to Texas. Texas is a weird team. They're not very good defensively. They are excellent on offense. They have now won 4 straight. Sean Miller's a really good head coach. You know they're going to figure it out at some point. Now, again, they've beaten Oklahoma, South Carolina, Ole Miss, and Missouri. They're not beating juggernauts. Missouri's the only team out of that crew with a winning record.
Yeah.
So...
But eventually, if Sean Miller gets the recruits, knowing historically what he's done in Arizona,
he'll win.
What he's done at Providence.
Sure, he's going to win.
Yeah.
I mean, Sean Miller has won. I mean, he went to, I lost track of how many Elite Eights at Arizona. Xavier got to the Sweet 16. He's a really good basketball coach who will, before the end of the year, he'll have Texas playing much better. He's already got them winners of 4 straight. The rest of their schedule is LSU. They should win tonight. They're at Georgia. Georgia's scuffling. Florida at home, that's probably not going to be
iffy.
Yeah, you go to A&M, who's scuffling. Going to Arkansas is probably going to be a loss, and you get Oklahoma at home. So really, you are thinking if this thing goes the way you believe it will, 1, 2, 3, they could be 4-2 in the last 6, and that would make them 8-2 in their last 10.
Mm-hmm.
Texas will make the dance, and
They will.
And depending on matchup, they could be trouble for somebody in the first round.
I said Providence instead of
Yeah,
Xavier.
you said Xavier. You're all good, man.
It was
You're
close.
fine.
So it's
You're
okay.
Hey, look, Providence, Xavier, don't worry about it. It's okay.
6-7.
It's all good, man. Over the weekend, Saturday, in case you missed it, Florida did whoop Kentucky at home 92-83. Vandy took care of A&M in Nashville 82-69. Arkansas 13 better than Auburn 88-75 in Fayetteville. Arkansas at home is dangerous.
This looks like a Calipari team of old from what we've been seeing at him at Kentucky.
They've won, let's see, 6 of 7 now, playing really well. They're a good offensive team. They're getting better on defense.
Yep.
Again, that's a team that you don't want to see in the bracket in the NCAA tournament with you because they're offensively they can put some numbers on you. Eventually, what's going to hurt them, Jalen? Defensively, they break down. Again, they've gotten better, but they're still 42nd in defensive efficiency. That's not going to get it done.
No.
As you go deep through the tournament.
And then historically with Calipari, with teams with what we've seen in the tournament, they collapse.
They can.
At random moments of the tournament. So it's just like...
The weird thing about Cal is there's no middle ground. Cal makes deep runs. Cal gets beat early.
Yeah.
It's just really strange with Cal. And if you look at their home record this year, their last home game they beat Auburn. They lost to Kentucky at home in that game with Mark Pope going there, and they got Cal. They beat LSU at home. They beat Vandy at home. Whooped South Carolina at home. Beat Tennessee at home. Beat James Madison at home. They've only lost one home game all year. So that's going to be a tough one.
They're
very tough at home.
And I'm glad that they're relevant again since Nolan Robinson gave them a championship back in the day. So,
The 40 minutes of hell with old Coach Richardson was something else, man.
Yep.
Oklahoma, like we said, they whooped up on Georgia in Norman over the weekend. Tennessee held off LSU by 10. Mississippi State went to Ole Miss and won by 12. Obviously, Alabama took care of South Carolina, and Texas at home, they beat Missouri. There's your drive around the SEC. We'll come back. We'll do a little Jay versus the Internet next here on the Postgame Show. I do a little Jay versus the internet here in a minute. Jalen will get us our music. Who Wants to Be a Millionaire action.
Let's get to it.
Oh, don't forget we're Cool Fancy Golf Tour Spring Golf Outing. I'm going to get to that real quick. You can keep playing the music. You're fine.
Oh, I will. It's going to keep playing.
Just keep playing it, man.
I got you.
Again, it's at Charwood. Our buddy Rock and Daniel Lucas set us up. Friday, April 3rd, $400 a team, $100 a player. 7:30 registration on that day. 9:30 shotgun start. Just call 803-755-2000. Hit number 2 to sign up. That gets you to the clubhouse. We'll have Saki's Libations Bar, onion sausage sponsored by Lexington Gamecock Club, and yes, the T-Box golf gun is back. My favorite part. I love that thing. That thing is so cool. So again, 803-755-2000. Call Charwood. Hit the number 2 to take you to the clubhouse so you can sign up. That is Friday, April the 3rd. 9:30, tee off. All right, now let's get to it. Look at these games in the SEC tonight. Only 3. And we'll even do the South Carolina game. Florida's a 22.5-point favorite against South Carolina. It's a lot of points.
Yeah, that's being covered.
It's a lot of points. I think Florida covers it. I think it's a bad matchup of tempo and talent. I just do. I think that, and that game's in Gainesville. I just think, and remember, here at CLA, Florida covered 22.5. So I think the Gators do it. I hope I'm wrong. I really hope I'm wrong.
That would be a monumental win if they come out with the upset there.
I'd love to see South Carolina win the game, but at least cover. Yeah. I think Florida covers at 22.5 at home. All right, Kentucky 7.5-point favorites against Georgia. Georgia scuffling. Kentucky coming off a loss over the weekend. They have been playing well, though. I think Kentucky at Rupp wins and covers a 7.5 over Georgia.
I got Georgia on the upset.
Oh, look at you. Texas at home giving LSU 10.5. Texas is a weird team, man. Like I said, they've won 4 straight. 2 of them at home. Both would cover the number.
Mm-hmm.
Their losses at home to Texas A&M and Mississippi State by 2. LSU, though, obviously sitting at 2-10 in the league.
Next to last in the conference.
It's been a rough go. I think Texas wins, but I think LSU covers the number.
I got Texas on the blowout.
It could be, man. It could be. Texas is really good offensively, so we'll see. We'll see where it goes. But by the internet, I'll do that. And I'll regret that Texas pick. Real quick, we didn't get to this in the headlines. Major League Baseball PA's executive director, Tony Clark, has resigned. He was the head of the Players Association. Former player was Tony Clark.
Yeah.
He resigned Tuesday after an internal investigation revealed an inappropriate relationship with his sister-in-law, who was hired by the union in 2023. This just broke a little while ago from ESPN. During the union's internal probe, which came in the wake of a wide-ranging and still open federal investigation into the MLBPA's finances and other alleged improprieties, including nepotism, the relationship between Clark and the woman came to light, sources say, and prompted him to step down after more than a dozen years as the union leader. Because he stepped down earlier today, and everybody thought it was just because of the investigation into the Major League Baseball Players Association finances and other alleged improprieties. But then this popped here just a little while ago about the inappropriate relationship with his sister-in-law.
Yeah, that will really have your eyeballs pop.
So who is your sister-in-law, Jalen?
I have no clue.
Your wife's sister, right?
Yeah.
So basically an inappropriate relationship with your wife's sister.
I guess that's now going to lead to problems where...
Hey, forget everything else. That man's got to go home.
Well, it may be like how the whole situation last year where I think it was last year with the company president where he got caught on the Jumbotron.
On the Jumbotron? Yeah, I said to me, the biggest punishment's when he gets home.
Yeah.
Same thing with Tony.
He'll have that vanilla folder sitting on the kitchen table when you're eating dinner, and yeah.
All I know is this. the next family get-together is going to be quite uncomfortable.
Yeah. It's going to be awkward as hell.
Yeah, you think?
Yeah.
You think? Wow. Your wife's sister. Woo!
And it's forcing you to resign from the MLB.
Yeah.
Lord have mercy.
You had to leave your gig.
And then some people were saying that it could be a potential like lockout or something.
Oh, there's going to be a lockout. The owners are pushing for a salary cap, which Major League Baseball should have.
Yes.
But Major League Baseball's players, that union has been strong for a long time. Not as strong as it used to be, but they do not want a salary cap in Major League Baseball. The players don't. For years, big market teams didn't either, but we don't have enough time to get into it right now, but they've changed their tune. There is going to be a lockout, and there's a really good chance there's going to be a work stoppage in baseball. There just really is. This is going to get ugly. But Tony Clark, it's going to be uglier at Tony Clark's house. Just saying. Jalen, nice work, my man.
Thank you.
Thanks to our buddy Brad Muller and also Jack Veltri. We'll do this again tomorrow on the postgame show. Jay, heal up, my friend. We're thinking of you.